Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome everyone to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud, where we hope the audio is working in all the ears that we need to, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have a gentleman who has helped organizations retain their best customers and employees, turning them into raving fans via his entertaining and actionable keynotes, workshops, and consulting projects. He has a long history of energizing and motivating audiences to enhance their customers' experiences and employees' experiences. He is the author of the very well-known Wall Street Journal bestseller, Never Lose a Customer Again, and the recently released Never Lose an Employee Again. This guy doesn't lose anything. He keeps everything together. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you the Joey Coleman. Joey, welcome to Thrive Loud.
It's awesome to be here. Super excited to be joining your awesome audience and you for a conversation today. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm honored to have you. I'm actually a fan of your book, a fan of your work. I love the message you're about because I'm all about connecting people. We do it here on Thrive Loud, and getting people to understand what makes them tick is kind of what we want to do. So I want to do a little rewind here. I don't want to go all the way to the womb. What I want to try to understand, Joey, is how never losing things and this engagement thing became your gig.
That's a great question, Lou. So I'm running an ad agency back in the early 2000s, and my job is to fill the funnel for my clients. You know, how do we market? How do we sell? How do we promote? And we're driving all kinds of traffic to their website. We're driving all kinds of customers through their front door, and things are going well. And I'm working for clients all over the world doing this. And I had this epiphany because after a big launch project for a client, I went back to them about 2 months later and I said, great, I'd love to look at the numbers today and compare them to the numbers before we started working together. And what we saw was a huge uptick in new customers, but not a huge uptick in revenues. And this really shocked and surprised me. And so I dug into the numbers and I realized that we were getting their folks in the door, but they weren't keeping them. And this drove me insane, Lou. I was like, oh my gosh, they're paying all this money to me to help fill the funnel, to market, to sell. But if they're not going to see the end results of growing their business, more customers, better relations, higher profitability, it's just a matter of time before they're not going to be interested in working with me anymore. And so this led me on what has now been almost 2-decade journey of trying to figure out how do we keep those people that we work so hard to acquire. Yeah. And that led to me exploring human psychology. It led me to exploring frameworks for things businesses could do to get their customers and their employees to have the type of results and the outcomes that they desired.
Okay, I love this. And I'm going to summarize this since I've been recently doing the stupid Wordle game. I'm going to give it one of my favorite 5-letter words, and that is you are all about trying to avoid or better understand churn.
Very true.
Losing those customers, right? And to the same point about losing employees and retaining people. So let's talk about, I always joke about there's customer service, which is serving your customers, and then there's kind of elevating your customers or taking it to that next experience. Let's make the differentiation, because there's doing your job and providing a great product, providing a great service, doing something that people value, and then there's getting them to keep understanding the value. I'm going to ask 2 questions. One, how do you get an organization to understand the cultural importance of that? And then 2, how do you get them to flip if they weren't in that mindset to start understanding the importance of that retention so you don't have the churn that a lot of people have.
Well, Lou, I love this differentiation you make between customer service and customer experience. And I like to think of it as follows. Customer service is a reactive response. It's what happens when something goes wrong. How do we take care of that customer? Oh, the customer has a question. How do we answer that? Oh, the customer needs something. What do we do? It's always from a reactive position, whereas customer experience is from a proactive experience. What do we want that customer to feel? What do we want them to do? I think when we make the mindset shift from being a reactive organization to being a proactive organization, not only do we increase people's excitement about coming to work and dealing with customers or their fellow coworkers, but we dramatically increase the standing we have in that person's mind. Because we all have folks that we interact with that seem really available if there's a problem. But they don't seem to care about avoiding the problem in the first place. They don't seem to care about trying to make things better before it becomes a problem. And I think that's the businesses, both from a customer point of view and an employee point of view, that will stand out in the future. It's those that are proactive about the experiences they want to create.
I'm looking for a certain type of avatar, Joey, that maybe you could help me with. When you look at leaders of companies or leaders of the divisions that are responsible for a customer experience or whatever it might be, the avatar I'm looking for is, what do we see in somebody that understands the depth that you need to go into, almost mapping out every situation that goes wrong? What do we look for, and what are those things that we can look at and say, hey, this is an individual, not just an organization. This is an individual that leads a group that has a lot of these things that we need to have so that the customer experience is the best it can be.
Well, I would posit, Lou, that we should all, as human beings, try to be striving to be more Renaissance humans. What I mean by that is, we're famous with this concept of the Renaissance man or the Renaissance woman. It's the person that had expertise and life experience that went beyond just one discrete area. And I think the best leaders in the world are really good at their functionality, the job they have, but they're really good at being humans. They have hobbies, they have interests, they have families, they have friends. They are interested in their team members' families and friends and interests and hobbies. They're just curious people. And I think, to me, the best way I can find out when I first start working with an organization in a consulting engagement, for example, is to figure out who are the leaders that have lives outside of work. Who are the leaders that are reading outside of their industry? Who are the leaders that are as quick to watch a documentary about some weird esoteric aspect of science that they find fascinating as they are to read the most recent business article about their functional role in their industry? So to me, that's a great way to spot, is this person the kind of person who has the skills and the mindset to be able to deliver a holistic experience as opposed to just a targeted deliverable?
I want to give a shout out to fellow colleague, podcaster, speaker, author David Avrin, who is all about helping organizations understand the importance of delivering an incredible experience every single time you deal with that organization, and the importance of drilling that through. And he had he documented recently his lost luggage, which was quite comical, by the way. It took I don't know how many days for him to get his bag, but we all know of those instances and places that they're just so busy, or there's so many problems going on with operational things that they're not thinking of the humanity here. They're just figuring out the most cost-effective way or the best monetization way. They're looking at the customer as just a number and a dollar sign, and not looking at them as literally an integral part to growing the future of the organization. And I think you guys would probably speak the same language and drink the same Kool-Aid. Yes,
we do, and we actually know each other 100%. We speak the same Kool-Aid, speak the same language. Here's the thing. I think that is a good check, Lou, for anyone that's listening, that's going, oh, I think we actually do pretty good on the customer experience side. We don't treat our people that way, and we're better than that. If the first step your organization takes is to assign an account number to a new customer, I think you're kind of treating them like a number. Now,
Yes.
I get that there may be reasons that if you have two John Smiths, we need to be able to distinguish which John Smith we're talking about. But I've been in so many organizations where they talk about accounts by their number, or worse, they talk about the account by the name of the company,
Yeah.
not the individuals. I get that every business wants to do business with other businesses and the hope that if that employee leaves, you get to keep the account and keep the relationship. But if we're constantly making it about the business and not about the people, we're missing a fundamental aspect of every relationship. We don't have relationships with businesses. We have transactions with businesses. We have relationships with humans, which is why, to use the lost luggage example, I fly Delta exclusively. When I call into Delta, they say, "Oh, hello, Mr. Coleman." Right? I fly enough that they know my number, right? When I call in, "Hello, Mr. Coleman. This is Chandra. I'm here to help you." And what do? I try to use Chandra's name as many times as possible during that call, not because I'm trying to gamify this situation or get a better result, although that's exactly what happens, but because I'm trying to anchor for her and for me that I understand this is a relationship between two people, not between two corporations, my business and Delta. So it's about looking for those opportunities to dive into the personal and emotional connection that we can have with the folks we do business with.
For the record, Delta's telling you where your luggage is at all times is my favorite part of their app. I'm a big fan of that.
It's amazing. I
Yes.
actually documented that in my first book, Never Lose a Customer Again, because I too was so blown away by the fact that I'm sitting on a plane and I get a little alert that says your bag has been loaded. And then
Yes.
I can click on that and it will say like it was loaded at this time onto this plane. It's coming to the baggage claim, all of the things. It's not that hard. And what they did, I think is brilliant, is they looked at how Amazon had
Yes.
reconditioned the human behavior, especially here in North America. If you order from Amazon, you get a package when an email or a communication when the order goes through. You get one when it ships, when it's out for delivery, when it's dropped off at your door. You then get a photograph of the package sitting on your doorstep. There have been times I've been sitting at my house, my phone is vibrated, and it's a photo of a package on my front doorstep, and I didn't even hear the truck pull up. That's trying to be proactive because they know that anybody who's ordered a package is wondering, where is it? Where
Yep.
is it in the process? When you proactively tell me where it is, you reduce my fear, my uncertainty, my doubt about whether or not this is going to be a good relationship.
Joey, there are organizations that figured out exactly what Delta figured out and a lot of other things, and they do a phenomenal job of creating that customer experience. Yet, they aren't so good at looking inside the walls of their organization and looking at the employees and understand what's going on with them. And you mentioned Amazon. That is actually one of the organizations where that has happened and has been noted in many
Huge
times.
issue. Absolutely.
Yeah, so obviously, look, large organizations or logistical companies like Amazon in that particular case, it might be two totally different organizations, but it probably isn't. So making sure that we treat our customers and our employees almost on that same equal level. Have you seen an organization that's done a really good job of that balance, keeping the employees and their customers happy?
I really have. There are actually dozens of organizations that are absolutely world class at that, Lou. And it's why I was so excited in Never Lose an Employee Again to feature over 50 organizations from all 7 continents, right? Because one of the other things I think we get into, especially I'm based in the United States, we have a tendency sometimes to think, well, all the good companies are operating here and the companies that are operating here are having the same thing. No, friends, there are companies around the world that have been operating longer with less churn, both of customers and employees, with higher profitability and with better overall experience than anything that's happening in the US. One of my favorites and one that I absolutely love, and the only case study example that got an entire chapter devoted to it in the book, is Lego. Now, I don't know about you, Lou, but I grew up playing with Lego. I have 2 children. I have lots of nieces and nephews that love Lego. Lego is amazing. And Lego is also a world-class employer. The experience they deliver for their employees is absolutely amazing. Why? Because they are as intentional with their in-house people as they are with their external customers. And that is something that is available to every business on the planet if it's just willing to prioritize employee experience in the same way that I like to think most organizations in the last 10 years especially have started to get better about prioritizing customer experience.
I'm going to give a shout out to something that most people wouldn't think of. There's a lot of high-end restaurant organizations who have multiple restaurants that understood that it's not about the food. It's about the experience that you go out when you go to dinner, and the service that you receive when you're there is at this incredible high bar level. And the people that work there love being there as well. It's a very nice hand-in-hand type thing, which I've seen and spoken to many people. David Mayer's restaurants is the ones I'm thinking of specifically. If you've ever been to anyone, they're a little pricey, but that's not important right now. Okay. You have a really cool world that you're in, a cool job. And I know you love what you do, but you wear lots of hats. You speak about it. You're working workshops. You're helping companies solve problems. You're writing books. You wear lots of hats within this. Joey, which hat do you like wearing most?
Oh, that's a great question, Lou. And I'm going to answer it honestly instead of giving you kind of the BS. Well, I like all of them equally. I
would have called you out on that, by the way.
I know you would have, and I appreciate that. I love being on stage. If we were to think of like Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, and I don't say this from a place of ego, I once did the math on how many speeches I had given. And I defined a speech as me standing in front of a room, talking for more than 5 minutes, when the reason the people are in the room is to hear me talk. So a toast at a wedding doesn't count. Okay. They're not there to hear my toast. They're here for the wedding, right? I realized that by the time I graduated law school, yes, I'm a recovering attorney. Sorry.
I married one of those too.
First step submitting, you have a problem. There's 11 after that.
You guys have a huge group of people, by the way. It's a tremendous
a little
universe.
crazy. Yes, it's absolutely crazy. But I realized by the time I graduated law school, I had already given over 4,000 speeches. Right? So to me, that's where my time has been. I love being on stage. I love creating experiences for the audience. It's how I spend about 2.5 weeks out of every month on the road, giving speeches, leading workshops. So that's my favorite. But don't tell anybody reading the books or listening to the podcast, lest they think I don't enjoy that too.
We understand, Joey, how it works. We understand where the love is. But thank you for your honesty and going out there and stating exactly what you like to do. All right. So there was a gift that the whole world got in both of your books, or all your books, and Never Lose a Customer Again, Never Lose an Employee Again. And that gift is the product that we can read. And it's a Wall Street Journal top best-selling book. If you guys want to go check it out, we'll provide all the links to it. He's got it somewhere in front of him. There he is, plugging it. Okay. That's the gift that you gave us. But I found that in interviewing hundreds of authors, that there's a happy accident that happens to the author. There's a gift that the author receives in writing the book. Most specifically, the most recent one, what was the gift that you received in putting that together?
I would say the gift that I received writing Never Lose an Employee Again, I'm gonna give you two. One that I think most authors experience and one that I felt was unique to me. The one that I think most authors experience is when we write, it forces us to clarify our thoughts and our expression. It's really easy for you and I to sit over a cocktail or a beer or a glass of water or whatever and just wax poetic about whatever we want to talk about. But when we think about putting something down on paper, something that we're going to have to chop down a tree to create, something that ideally is going to sit on a shelf or in a library or be a resource for people, potentially for decades or centuries to come, there, to me at least, is a higher onus, a higher responsibility to make sure that that is clear and thoughtful and well articulated. So for me, writing is a great way to polish the edges. It's a great way to clarify and hone my thoughts. I think a lot of writers have that experience. What's unique for me for this book is prior to starting this book, it had been almost a decade since I had had full-time employees. I'd have some part-time employees here and there and some folks that came and worked on projects. And I've got amazing team members that jump in and we do kind of creative projects together. But I didn't really have any kind of W-2, long-term, 40-hour-a-week type employees. And what this book helped me to do is reconnect to the challenge that I think the average human being on this planet who is not a business owner is dealing with all day, every day,
Yeah.
which is, how is it that I am giving all of my heart, my energy, my soul, my time to this employer who doesn't seem to care about me? And I counter juxtaposed that against knowing thousands of business leaders who spend all kinds of time thinking about their employees, Lou. They spend all kinds of time worrying about, are we going to get payroll? How's Jane's family doing? Oh, is Franco going to be able to, deliver on what he needed to so that we can promote him? Because I know he's really eager to get a promotion, but we can't promote him unless he's producing the numbers we need to justify the increase in salary and do. There's this giant disconnect where employers think that the employees are out to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
And employees think the employers are out to take advantage of them. And in my experience, while that is sometimes true, that's the exception to the rule. In most instances, I think everybody has great intentions. They just have really poor execution on those intentions.
I think a few years ago, during that window of the great resignation, or whatever they were calling it at that point, I think the spotlight was focused on that area a lot too, where one side wasn't talking to the other, but I also think it did something else, and this is something I know you've highlighted, and that is the ones that were doing it well before that realization and us being away from COVID and being able to work virtually, whatever it might be, the ones who were doing it well before did so much better thereafter, because they were so well positioned to be attractive to other people, other organizations, and people wanted to work there, and the people wanted to stay and wanted to do well. And it always goes back to that important message of understanding that your business is there to serve others, to serve the people who are helping you do that, and to serve those customers. And if you understand that at its very core, as opposed to serve your own pocketbook or whatever the audience is, you're never going to deliver the message that you need to, or deliver the culture and that brand that you're looking for, where people don't want to churn out and they want to stay with you.
Lou, you're so spot on. I mean, it's that simple and it's that complex, right?
Exactly.
So here's the joy, right? All you really need to do is care about people.
Right.
That's it. Like it's not anymore. Like, hey, you don't have to buy Joey's books. Either never lose a customer again or never lose an employee again. Here's the punchline. Just give a darn about the people you're interacting with. Just care about them. Love on them. That's all you have to do. The challenge is how and when and to what degree, and how do we get people involved in that, and how do we afford that, and how do we systematize that so it's consistent across our entire enterprise. It's not that it's complex to know what to do. The complexity comes in how to do it.
Yep, I'm totally with you. I want to do the admin part of the show because I want to do an extended version of Fun Street. By the way, you just reminded me of when Shep Hyken came on Thrive Loud and he had to give the world's shortest speech in 2 words. You just said, "Be nice." That's it.
Very true. Shep, the grandfather of customer service, a great friend of mine, amazing human being. Absolutely. Be nice.
My bald-headed brother from another mother. Yes. So
I love it.
Let's do Fun Street here. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you, websites, URLs, links. We will put it on the show notes, but always get more engagement when they hear it from you.
All right. So the best place to find me is on my website, joeycoleman.com. That's Joey, like a baby kangaroo or a 5-year-old, Coleman, Coleman, like the camping equipment, but no relation, joeycoleman.com. The books are called Never Lose a Customer Again and Never Lose an Employee Again. They're available wherever you like to get books, in whatever format you like to consume them. I always share this because I know some folks who are listening and watching love the hardcover. They want to put it on the shelf. They want to take notes in the margin. Great, there's a hardcover. Some of you are all about your Kindle and your Nook, and you want to highlight passages and search for things. Great, we've got an ebook for you. Some of you have decided this far into the conversation that you don't mind the sound of my voice, and if you'd like me to narrate either of the books to you, I narrate the audiobooks so you can listen to the audiobook as well.
You just reminded me when you were talking about whether the book is, burning in trees or putting it on a shelf. I kid you not, no more than 2 weeks ago, my daughter had her computer here and she was having a desktop mouse issue and asked for a copy of Speakeasy so she could use it as a mouse pad, which is another good reason for the book if you ever need it. So
I love it.
Literally, she asked, "Could I use the book as a mouse pad?"
Nice. Hey, multi-purpose, doorstop, mouse pad, level out a table, whatever you need, a book can provide.
Okay. You ready to go down Fun Street with me here, Joey?
Let's
I know
do
you
it.
are.
Let's do it, Lou. I'm ready.
Joey, do you have an all-time favorite movie?
I've got a lot of movies that I love, Lou, but if I was only allowed to watch one movie again and again, I know this could be seen by some as a controversial choice, but I'd have to go with Braveheart. And the reason why is there's just
Oh,
so many layers to that movie. It's got adventure, it's got a love story, it's got comedy, it's got kind of everything you want. And at the risk of being blunt, but I'll say it, it was before Mel Gibson kind of went a little
yeah.
bit crazy and kind of lost his mind. So I kind of look at it as the early work that I'm still able to accept and enjoy.
We had that conversation about things that age well and things that don't age well. And obviously, there's that aspect of it. But if you were to just go back in time and appreciate it for the art itself, I'm with you on that. That movie's amazing. And let alone castration at the end of the movie. Who would ever not
Well,
like a movie
hey,
like that?
all kinds of crazy things. Hey, it was a rough time to be in Scotland. Let's just call it what it is. And I'm a big believer, Lou, of if we don't study our history, it is going to repeat itself. And if there's ever been a time where that is important for us to understand as human beings, it is right now.
Dead on. All right, we're going to do the speed round here, Joey. I'm going to ask you something. First thing that comes to your mind, most of these things are things that lift you up, motivate you, make you feel good. They basically make you thrive. You ready?
All right.
Okay, of late, a song that you love to listen to or maybe one that pumps you up.
Oh, a lot of the music I listen to skews a little more instrumental,
Okay.
but there is a song from the Alan Parsons Project. People are
Oh.
going, who are you talking
Oh,
about? This
I
this
love
is crazy,
this.
right? Luzad. This is the theme song that the Chicago Bulls used to come out to back in the day,
yeah.
in the early 90s, and you hear the little,
Yes.
and you hear it coming. That one, when I play that before a speech or, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that your walk-on
it just
song?
gets me
Is it-
pumped. I
that your-
have used that on occasion for a walk-on song, and I use it in some of my workshops. I just used it in one last week, kind of as a new way, and the crowd just went bonkers. So that's a favorite.
I
My
like
usual walk-on song actually is "The Final Countdown" by the
yeah.
great hair band Europe of the '80s. Fabulous hairdos. That one also just you hit those opening chords and the whole audience, especially anybody who's over 40, they're just locked in immediately.
What is a favorite food of yours that is not a dessert?
Favorite food that is not a dessert? Can I count a drink as a food, or would you rather have it go as a food?
I'd love to hear what it is, but yes.
Root beer, man. I'm all about it. I love root beer. There's really
root beer I'd put in the dessert category almost.
I like that's why I ask. It kind of, it's definitely a little sugary. I drink two things. I drink water and I drink root beer. And if I can have a nice frosty cold root beer to go with whatever I'm having, that's always a good way to end a day.
A&W root beer's got that frosty mug taste. I remember
you
that.
guessed it, brother. Yeah, 100%.
Everyone used to go like this with the thumbs and hold the
Exactly,
can.
with the thumb, the whole thing. Yeah.
What a wonderful ad campaign. I'm sure somebody cut their finger and that's why they canceled it. Okay. Well, do you have a favorite dessert if you were to have one that isn't root beer?
I'll give a shout out to a local brand. There is a ice cream place here in my hometown that makes a flavor of ice cream that's called Caramelicious. Oh. And Caramelicious is kind of a combination of vanilla ice cream, caramel, some caramel ice cream, and little chocolate. They're not Reese's peanut butter cups, but they're kind of like those, but they're filled with caramel, not with peanut butter.
I gotta hop on a plane right now, man.
It's a delivery vehicle for caramel. That's basically what it is.
That's pretty damn good. An activity you wish you did more of?
Oh, an activity I wish I did more. Read. I love reading, and I try to read for at least a half an hour to an hour a day, and I'd love to have it be 10 hours a day.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Filing. Filing,
are you really filing papers? Like, are you really?
It's just keeping, some of it digital, some of it analog, but it's like, there's 17 PDFs I downloaded. Where do I put these so that I can find them later and all that side? Kind of the minutia that is organization. If there was a way to just have the AIs lock into my brain and take all the inputs that are coming and put them somewhere where I could easily retrieve them later, I would be eternally thankful.
It's coming. A new activity to you that you recently tried that you like so much that you want to try. Let everyone else try.
Yeah. So I had the chance to go to Great Sand Dunes National Park. So the largest sand dunes in North America, north of 750 feet tall of sand,
Hmm.
are in southwestern Colorado. It's a little hard to get to, but oh, is it worth it? And when you get there, you can rent sleds and
Oh.
surfboards to surf the dunes. And I went surfing and sledding on the dunes with my wife and my two young sons, and we had a blast. And it is definitely a play. I'd never been sand surfing or sand tobogganing before, and it's something I would love to do again.
If I could snap my fingers and Joey Coleman can be anywhere in the world, where is he?
Lou, the questions are increasing in difficulty, okay? Because I've had the pleasure of visiting.
This is like Hot Wings show, the Hot Ones? Hot Ones.
Yeah,
Show
exactly.
where they take a famous person and they go from very, very mild in the wings, and by the end, the last one with the question is the hottest, spiciest one. I got to build it up a little.
I know,
bit.
I like it. I like it. So, all right, here's what I'll say. I've had the pleasure of traveling to 54 countries. And if I had the ability to snap my finger and go back to a place that I absolutely love, and it's been a minute since I've been there, I would choose Florence, Italy, which brings us back to the kind of the Renaissance man theory, right? I mean, this place, it is just amazing. And specifically the Ponte Vecchio, which is the main bridge in Florence. I have had more fun hanging out on that bridge, observing humans, singing songs, eating a baguette, drinking a little, glass of Chianti, whatever it may be, watching the water filter down the river. Yeah, I'd go to the Ponte Vecchio.
I'm in agreement with you. It's my favorite, maybe aside from New York, my favorite city in the world otherwise. Certainly my favorite food city. And my wife and I one time just had a simple piece of cheese with a tomato and a bread one day for lunch because we were just like last minute needed something, and we were sitting a block from exactly where you were at the Ponte Vecchio, and just melts in your mouth. Everything. It's why they were fighting over that land for so long, right?
you really do.
You kind of understand it once you
understand. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And I will say this, one of my favorite questions to ask. So I'll ask you if we can turn the tables.
Absolutely. We'll wrap it up on that. Yes.
Those who have traveled, right? You can ask somebody, what's your favorite country? I feel like that's a completely unfair question.
True.
I like to ask, what's your favorite road or what's your favorite bridge? Because with people who've traveled, they have answers to those questions. So do you have a favorite road or a favorite bridge?
All right. So without a doubt, my favorite road is, I'm going to give it the edge to my favorite road is to Pacific Highway, the Pacific Coast Highway.
PCH1, right?
PCH1, south of Carmel to Big Sur. That edge, that part. Now I know it gets even steeper and deeper as you go further down, but that particular part, one, because you've like left golf heaven from Pebble Beach over there, but also some of the best food and restaurants in down Big Sur. The one that it was really close to is the road from Naples down to Positano, all the way down the Amalfi Coast.
Down the Amalfi,
which is some of the scariest driving you've ever done in your life. But the one on PCH1 is that would be my favorite road. And bridges, that's a really good one. Now this is just from an optics point of view, because they've just, and it's certainly not my favorite location, but it's actually where I currently am right now. They just redid what used to be the Tappan Zee Bridge, and it is now the Mario Cuomo Bridge, Governor Mario Cuomo. That was Andrew's dad. And it is a engineering work of art. If you're a fan of it, is just an absolute amazing. It was billions of dollars to make it. It was an unbelievable thing. It's also made traffic, and you can now walk over it. And when you walk over it and you look south, you can see New York City all the way from up there, from on the Hudson Valley, looking up and whatnot. Wow. So I would say that's where that is. There are plenty of other bridges, that probably are higher worth noting, but that one I just recently walked over and was like, wow, this is amazing. So I'd put that right there. There you go.
That's going on my list of bridges to visit next time I go to New York City.
Joey Coleman. Everybody got to check it out. Never lose a customer again. Never lose an employee again. You could check him out on all his different sites. Hey, such a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for helping us understand the importance of keeping our best customers and employees all the time, man. Thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, Lou, it's my pleasure. And thanks to everybody for listening in and watching. Big fans of you, big fans of all of your work. Keep it up and keep creating those remarkable experiences.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.